Quinn Hughes. We played 3.5 minutes in overtime. Quinn Hughes shoots. He scores! He scores! Quinn Hughes in overtime wins it, and the United States will move on and face Slovakia in the semis.
The following is a presentation of Hobson Media. Woohoo!
All right, what's up? Not really an opening statement guy, but I will open with this statement. I'm fired up to be here.
This is Church Pew Sports, where we connect sports to life and faith.
Could you repeat that first part?
Take a knee.
Absolutely glorious.
Lend an ear.
I believe it's going to be for the best.
Then get ready to laugh, listen, and learn.
How about you announce that you're getting better?
No matter your team, your favorite sport.
Bowling. Bowling's insane. Bowling is crazy time.
We cover it all here on Church Pew Sports.
And we want to pump you up.
Gentlemen, start your engines, brothers.
And away we go with another episode of Church Pew Sports. It is so good to have you with us in this world where we connect sports to life and faith. And what a conversation we have coming up for you this evening, because we turn our attention as much of the world has to what's taking place in Italy with the Winter Olympics. But we're also going to turn our attention back to some Olympic hopefuls for the next round in 2030. So with that groundwork being laid, Bill Hobson here, along with David Collins. David, how finely tuned have you been into the world of the Winter Olympics?
Yeah, I've been keeping up with it. The nice thing about social media nowadays is you don't have to watch it when it's airing at whatever time in the morning. You can kind of catch up on it later and see some of the highlights. And unfortunately for some people, the lowlights as far as injuries and the skiing and other things go. But yeah, it's been pretty cool. It's good to have this, in a time when sports is kind of dull right now, to have this to look forward to. I
found myself watching the finals of a cross-country ski race today that was gripping. Because I cannot imagine all of the years of training that go into the one race, and then, you win by a hair, you lose by a hair, and nobody remembers you otherwise if you come in second or third, which is really too bad. And it really dovetails nicely into the conversation that we're going to have this evening with a pair of special guests. There's a pastor named Brian Sharp who has been one of our panelists on Church Pew Sports a couple of times. And he texted me, I think about a week and a half ago, and he said, I know this couple, and this couple has a resume that is absolutely stunning in the world of pairs skating, figure skating. And they have done some things that no other figure skaters have ever done. They've won the World Juniors in 2024, the Junior Grand Prix Final champions in 2023. They were the U.S. Junior champions 3 straight years, 22, 23, and 24. And that's just the beginning of the story of Leah Neset and Artem Markelov. And as I look at the two of you in our Zoom window, it looks like you should be getting ready for high school classes tomorrow morning. So you look very young. I'm so glad that we are able to connect with you. How are you? You're in Colorado Springs as we speak tonight. How are you?
Yeah, we're doing great. Thank you for having us.
Well, we're glad to do it. And it was that connection with Brian who kind of brought us together. And I started to do a little bit of homework on the two of you, right? So I gave the quick resume of your skating successes, but I've got to let you share with our audience your journey that brings you to the point where you want to skate on behalf of the United States, because both of your names would indicate that you have some experience on the other side of the world, right? So Leah and Artem, fill in the details here.
So I guess I started skating when I was like 3 or 4 years old. So I'm from North Dakota. And I guess I skated there for many years. When I was, I would say, like 13 years old, I had the opportunity to work with some coaches here in Colorado Springs. And I had the opportunity to try ice dance with a partner. So that's what brought me to Colorado Springs. And then In 2020, we found each other, so we've been skating together since then.
Okay, what's the story of that meeting? How did that happen?
So I'm originally from Russia. I started skating at 9, and first I was doing single skating. So the whole world of figure skating is kind of divided into 4 main disciplines. There's also synchro skating, but 4 main disciplines are men's single skating, women's single skating, pairs, and ice dance. And I was doing single skating originally, but then I tried some ice dance back when I was 15. And at the age of 16, I decided to move. I decided to move to a new partner. And that's when I found Leah. There's like a partner search website. It's kind of like a dating website, but for figure skaters.
Really?
Where you can connect to other skaters and arrange tryouts. So I came to United States to try out, and about a day later, we decided we want to skate with each other.
That's full of information, David, that I did not know. Like,
Yeah.
you take it from, where do you want to take that?
I mean, we could start with the dating website for figure skaters that partner up and all that. It's just crazy. But, ice dancing, it's such an interesting concept. It's like, when do you realize, like, hey, maybe the singles isn't for me. Let's go to do something like that. Because I'm assuming there's a lot that goes into ice dancing that's not in normal figure skating, or a lot of this I don't know. The other thing I'd like to know is, at what point while you're doing all this do you realize, hey, you know what? I'm better than almost everyone in the world at what I do.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and try to make the Olympic team, because by even trying to do that, you're better at what you do than just about anybody I know is at what they do. So where did you guys realize and have the confidence that, like, we can take this to another level?
So I guess when I was skating in North Dakota, I learned, I did some single skating, but I also learned pattern dances is what they're called. And I guess my skating skills were always stronger than my jumping. So that's kind of how I knew that ice dance might be the right fit for me.
Yeah, I would say similar to me. My skating skills were always better than jumps. But then I also was trying out between pairs and ice dance, and I just like the concept of ice dance a little bit better. You get to dance on ice, you have a little bit more freedom with your elements, and it's very creative process. The most creative, I would say, out of all the disciplines, because you tend to come up with elements that other people might have never done before. And I would say that's kind of what really took me into the ice dance world.
Okay, so I have a couple questions that aren't really related to the discipline and the journey of a skater, but it's more about your lives. So Artem, my understanding has long been that if you choose to leave Mother Russia, they're not all that happy about that. We have this famous story here in Michigan with our Detroit Red Wings about a group of hockey players that became known as the Russian Five. And in the early stages of that, one of them, Sergei Fedorov, literally had to be kind of smuggled out of Russia in the dark of night, sort of a thing. Because that was not allowed. You couldn't just defact. You couldn't. How did it work for you? Was there pressure? Were you worried about somebody from home saying, get back here? Or was it easier for you?
I would say I've been lucky, and it was easier for me because I haven't really achieved any result back in Russia. So my name wasn't really on a high profile list to really look out for and don't let me get out from Sport Federation. So I was released very easily. But I know there's other skaters from Russia who struggled to be released because they've been showing great result in Russia, and obviously don't want to be released by their federation since they have such a huge success there.
Yeah, but you were the U.S. junior champions 3 straight years, the Grand Prix Finals champions in 23, and the World Junior champions in 24. I got to think somebody back in Russia went, hey, wait a minute, what happened to that Artem guy? Let's get him back here.
Yeah, it might have came up, I don't know, but I haven't had problems. So they released me, and that's kind of like a final word. They can't really do anything about it now. So, yeah.
Quick question for Leah. How hard was it for you to escape out of South Dakota?
Right. Was that difficult?
I mean, they like to keep their people there.
Yes, they do. They keep everybody else out.
It was definitely hard to move because I do have a lot of family in North Dakota. But luckily we're able to go back really often so I can still see my family often.
So your passport does work.
We keep
to
our
get you back
ties close.
Your passport back to North Dakota does work. That's good to know. And then as we turn our attention, David, to just the world of what they do for their competitive profession, can you imagine the countless hours, years, the freezing cold ice, the injuries, the falls, the nutritional restrictions, and having it all come down to a judge that might not have had a good night's sleep the night before. It might have just, their dog died, or they've never liked this particular program, and all of a sudden your entire professional fate is in the hands of somebody who can basically do with it whatever they want. You and I are used to playing in sports that have a scoreboard. Mm-hmm. And there are some controversies with officiating, but for the most part, if you touch home plate, that's a run. How would you function in the world of a judged competition?
Yeah, that's one of the questions that I definitely had coming into this was, you work so hard, you put all this effort and energy and intensity, and like Bill was saying, the sacrifices you make, and you're just pushing yourself to limits that, again, normal humans like myself don't even understand. And you do all of that, and I was wondering if you guys ever felt in any competition as though, even going into it, because I know sometimes in like basketball, you'll go into a game and you'll know who the referees are, and you'll know how they call games, and so you try to change your style to play so that they won't get you busted early on in games, et cetera. Is that a thing with what you guys do, is like trying to know who the judges are, or trying to understand what maybe they're looking for and alternate your routines based on that? And have you ever felt like you had been in a situation where you or someone you know was unfairly judged?
I would say, figure skating is in a way like an art form, so it's definitely very subjective. So each judge has their own opinions and preferences and their own like emotions and perspectives. But we do have like some interactions with the judges. Like for example, there's like a high performance camp every year that US Figure Skating holds called Champs Camp. So there we're able to get feedback from the judges, and that's helpful to be able to maybe adjust some things and get more ideas.
So you get like tips and pointers maybe from them on what other judges might be looking for?
Yes. You kind of are given direction. Is every year we create new programs. It's new routines, new choreography, new elements, and you show it to judges. And judges basically say, yeah, it's worth pursuing, or no, maybe you should look other direction, because we think internationally it will be more popular, or like internationally it will not be understood as well.
And if you found out that, Judge Thompson over there absolutely loves peanut butter chocolate chip oatmeal cookies, is it, considered out of line to enter the competitive arena with maybe an extra platter of those that you just happen to swing on by the judge's podium and drop off and say, hey, just thought maybe you might enjoy these? Is that the level of interaction we can have here?
No, that's definitely not allowed.
Well, then I'm not going to be a judge. That wipes the whole thing out. On a more serious note, have you ever been through a competition at any level where you completely agreed with the judge's results, where you just thought, they got it right?
I would say, it depends. Everyone, again, Leah said it's hard. And something that everyone might like, I, for example, don't care about. Another way around, I might love someone's program, and then Leah would be like, that was okay. Like, I wasn't crazy about it. So even between us, we have completely different styles, and like some things we like differently. And I feel like it's really hard just because of how subjective this sport is and how many things goes into it. So you can't please everyone, but you're trying to please as many people as you would like. So you're trying to find out what's most people like, and that's the direction you usually go to.
So when you're watching these Olympics, and I cannot remember names very well, but the American couple, everybody on the planet believed they should have won the gold medal, except for one French judge, and lo and behold, the gold medal went to the French couple. Were you sitting at home and throwing things at your TV and just realizing that an injustice had taken place as somebody who knows what to look for in all of this?
I think both teams are very strong. I actually really do love the French team as well. So, I think, everyone has their own opinions. So,
I would say the challenge we face with the judging is that the styles of the skating of both teams were completely different. One was lyrical, another was more creative, bold program. So I would say it's really hard to compare them side by side, and that's where the challenge really arises from. Because if I would have two lyrical programs, I would be able to say who's better. But when you have two completely different programs with two completely different ideas and elements, it gets a little trickier to really tell who is the better out of these two.
That's a very good point. Your training regimen, you have, I think you've made it clear that your goal, your hope, your prayer is that in 2030, you're representing America. So between now and then, man, it is a lot of grind. It is a lot of practice. What's a week in the life like for Leah and Artem? Take us from when does the alarm go off? What kind of things are going in your body nutritionally? And then what's the workload like just from a practice and kind of a fitness regimen standpoint?
We usually get up around 6 on average, just because we coach in the morning before our own practice. After that, we get time to come back home, get some breakfast, and then at about 9, we usually have an off-ice every day. And off-ice training includes modern dance, ballroom dance, ballet. We have lifts,
strength training, cardio,
stretching. So that's usually one of these classes, usually 9 to 10. Then we skate 10:45 until 1. We have a lunch break. Then we skate 2:05 to 3. And then we skate 3:15 until 4 usually.
Okay.
Sometimes we get the session off, but usually that's the one we do as well. And then after that, we have one more off-ice class, another 45 minutes. It's usually until 4:45. And then we are done for the day. So after that, we usually come back home and we have time to do school, chores, stuff like that.
And how does your funding work? This is a full-time job, and somebody's got to be paying to keep the lights on and to put food in the refrigerator.
Yeah, I guess we coach both learn to skate lessons and private lessons to help fund our skating. And then, we are sometimes able to get some scholarships, which help too.
Okay.
And also help
Families.
from family. Yes.
Yeah. So how much better do you need to be to make the 2030 team than you are sitting here right now? What needs to improve?
I would say we have a lot of, basically.
A cat just appeared out of nowhere.
I would say we have a lot of work to do before 2030. We have a clear vision of what we need to improve. We know exactly where we're heading. There is some skating skills that we need to improve in our team. We need to improve performance for us. Since we're still a new team to the senior field, we switched from juniors just 2 seasons ago.
Okay.
We need to improve maturity of our skating, that's for sure, just to look more flawless, effortless while we skate. Yeah, I would say that's the couple main things that we should focus on.
And Leah, has he ever tossed you way too far, resulting in a fall? And if so, what's the conversation like as you're getting up off the ice?
Well, Artem is a very good partner, so we haven't had too many falls.
Good.
During lifts. I think we've maybe had a couple where maybe you fell, so I came down too. But usually he's gotten the worst of it when we've fallen.
Yeah, I'm usually a pillow in that case.
David, I don't know. I mean, they've been married a couple of years. I'm trying to picture them having a little spat on the ice. And tonight, I don't get that impression. Do you, before they answer the question honestly, do you think they have spats on the ice?
See, I was going to actually ask the opposite. Is being married, is that kind of a performance enhancer for you guys? You get extra time together and you love each other. Some other skating couples aren't married. I mean, is that an advantage for you guys? Do you see that? And what are some of the things that that don't know about that world, like would understand about like the troubles, like something that comes up in your life that I wouldn't even understand because I'm not nearly on the level that you guys are at.
Yeah, we actually spent quite a bit of time together before we got married. We pretty much were together 24/7 already. So now not much changed. We're still together all the time. And it's kind of interesting because we never really talk about ice skating when we're at home. We have so many other things to worry about, and it's just never really comes up. So we try to keep figure skating separate, married life separate, and that's just kind of feels the best for us.
I would say it definitely is an advantage, though. Like, I would say us being married does make, like, our relationship on the ice more natural, more authentic.
Yeah. Okay. As we wind down our time together, this podcast exists to connect real life to sports and faith. Where does your faith come into all of this? You were introduced to us by a pastor, so I have to think there's some degree of connection in there through Brian Sharp. And could you just speak to us about how that element of your life has really been a part of this journey?
Yeah, I guess I try to make it the center, or like we try to make it the center of everything we do, making sure that when we're on the ice, we're acting in a way that's godly. And yeah, one other thing we've done is we're leading a Fellowship of Christian Athletes group for skaters in Colorado Springs. So that's been one way that we've been kind of been able to like bring both like our skating and our faith together.
So if there's one thing that you would ask our listeners to pray about on your behalf, what would that be?
I would say just that we can glorify God through our skating, and that, we can have positive impact for the Lord through it.
Yeah, love it. Man, what a story, and I can't wait to see how it unfolds. What are the key milestone markers between now and 2030? I mean, you got to go to the U.S. Nationals, right? And you have to qualify. It's not just a matter of wanting to be on the Olympic team. You have to make it there. So is that each year? Is that in 2 years? What should we be watching for?
Yeah, I would say it's each year progress. We have a lot of international competitions each year. We have nationals each season. Then there's another big international events like World Championship, 4 continents that you also have to qualify for first. So I guess our goal for next season would be to qualify for one of those, do well there, and then from there on it will be a more clear vision of what 2030 holds for us.
Love it. Well, when you come in with the resume at the junior level that the two of you have, I would have to think there are a lot of eyes on you. Everybody hears about this young couple that's up and coming couple, and they've won 3 in a row at the U.S. junior championships. So you're kind of marked, right? You've got to step up and deliver.
Yeah, it's definitely both a positive and negative side because every move is watched. So
yeah. It's awesome.
Everything matters.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you both. Thank you so much for being a part of our conversation tonight. And now we know who to root for here in the Church Pew sports world. We'll be rooting for Leah and Artem and kind of keeping an eye on how things go. And so when we get closer to 2030, let's make sure we touch base again and we can learn more about how the journey is going.
Sounds good. Thank you so
much.
much.
Thank you.
Good luck, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys have a full schedule. We'll let you go. Thanks so much. Yeah, that is super fun to be able to connect with Leah and Artem as they are coming to us from Colorado Springs, Colorado, and chasing their dream. David, I mean, they look like pups.
Yeah, they look like. I was shocked when I saw them. I'm like, wait, how old did they got married when? And I just can't even imagine. Like and I guess something that I wish I would have asked is like what their expectations are and like what will happen if they don't make the Olympic team. Is this something that they're prepared for? Is this something that they accept? And I love what they said about their faith being the center of it and glorifying God in it, because if that's the case, then even if you don't achieve your ultimate dream, like you can still along the way achieve the dream of glorifying God in everything you do. So I don't know. That was just, it's shocking how calm and like, innocent they look. I'm like, what? You guys, best athletes in the world?
Married at 17 and 19, right? So there's a whole lot of quick maturing that has to happen if that's going to work. And you could kind of get, plus I always wonder, are there any figure skaters that are really nervous cats that seem to be, jittery and all over the place? Because it doesn't seem like it would lend itself to that sport very well.
They were so just calm and answered everything. Like, it was crazy. And I'll tell you what, I kept having this visual of like, not just you dancing, but hey, now let's put skates on you, Bill. See how you do then. Like, what is that? Like, the talent you have to have is insane.
I had knee surgery 6 days ago, and so getting down into my studio today was quite an adventure. And I just thought to myself, these kids, they're flipping over, they're jumping, they're doing the triples, they're doing the tosses. And when my wife and I watch the Olympics, we often joke about how that looks like something we could do. And knowing what an incredible accomplishment it is for all of these athletes to get to this point. I'm not going to pretend that I'm locked in and watching every second of figure skating, because frankly, I can't do it. Not because it's not artistic and really well done, because I've got a real burr in my saddle for judged competitions. It's not what I'm used to. I'm not geared that way. You heard them. That's their world. They're used to it. They accept that part of their fate. That would be so hard. I mean, 6 a.m. every day on the ice, all those hours for years and years and years, and then to have it come down to the opinion of somebody. Where else does that happen except for Olympic competition?
The only other one I could think of is boxing.
Yeah.
MMA sometimes too, because a lot of times you'll watch a fight and you're like, well, that was clearly dominated by one guy, but it's always a split decision or some random judge. Like, so that's the one. The difference is in boxing, there is a way you can win the game by scoring the ultimate knockout.
Yeah. Technically, it is in your control.
Yes. So if you don't want to leave it up to the judges, then
get the job done.
You can actually go out and find a way to win it yourself. But that's always kind of funny when you get into the conversation about what's a sport versus what's a competition. Right. And I think the problem with that conversation is so many people here, like, if you're not going to call something a sport, they're offended by it.
Yeah.
But if you're just trying to categorize it, I would say things that are judged. You have to be more athletic to be a gymnast than just about anything in the world. So for me to say, but it's a judged competition, not a sport, people get up in arms about it. And I look at it, I'm like, no, I'm not trying to take away from them. It's harder than the sports that I love watching people play.
Yeah.
But it's just, I have an issue with judged sports as well.
I was watching a couple of minutes of the freestyle skiing today. They go down on the board and do all of the flips in the world and finish your run backwards. And there's a kid from America who did some trick that has never been done before. And he did it perfectly. It was defied all gravity and logic. And I need to watch it in slow-mo like 8 times to even figure out how many rotations it was. Silver. And he gets to the bottom and, he waits for his score and he just looks puzzled as the announcers were like, that makes no sense whatsoever. Well, you're done. There's no recourse. Congratulations. Thanks for coming to Italy. Here's your silver medal. And that kind of thing just drives me insane. Now, there are some really very cool storylines in this whole Olympic world. There's an Olympic athlete, Nick Baumgartner from Iron Mountain, Michigan. I don't know if you know Nick. He rides the snowboard. He's like the snow cross kind of a thing. He's 44 years old.
Wow.
He is an ancient man in a young boy's sport. He's their dad's age, if not a little older. And as he finished his last run and he didn't medal, he was asked about being the old man in a young man's sport.
I think it goes to show the kind of work that I put in to stay here. It takes every bit of me and every bit of effort that I have to be able to compete with these kids. You see how fast they are. And to be able to do that, but I love this so much. If you find something you love, it doesn't matter how much work you got to put in. You're happy to do it. And I'll continue to do it because I love what I do. You saw that out there. I never had so much fun losing in my life. And it's a great time. I get to represent my country and have fun with my friends.
I never had so much fun losing in my life. I love that kind of thing. As we'll hear in a few minutes in the Holy Discontent segment when we talk about a certain Big Ten basketball coach, I would much rather hear the Nick Baumgartners of the world talk about their passion for it, and they'll just do it as long as they can, as opposed to the other side of it. So that's pretty fun. I also wonder what it would be like to stand in the starting gate or whatever next to a 20-year-old, and look to your right and see this guy who's got gray hair and a beard, and he's 44. He just looks over and gives you a little wink, and away you go. I don't know. As I get older, I have more and more respect for those guys that hang in there. And he said a little bit later, if it'll work, if he can do it, he'll do it again in 2030. He's just going to keep on going.
Yeah, you got to love that. And it's funny that we're just in that era of sports where age is not the thing that it once was. The Tom Brady's playing into his mid-40s. LeBron's in his 40s and still, one of the better players in the NBA. We're just, something changed. I don't know if it was, just the medical science and all that, but we are in a different era where if you want it, you can hang around a little bit longer than people in the past used to be able to.
The discipline, right? I mean, you have to make those decisions. And I think in everything, probably outside of curling, you've got to change your diet and you've got to make sure that you're adhering to a plan, but you can do it. Speaking of curling, the controversy, of course, is does Canada cheat at curling? I've watched multiple replays, both, by the way, of their men's and women's teams, and I don't pretend to know how curling actually functions. I get the general idea, but scoring, I don't know what, it's the second end, the third end, the fourth end, and I also can't quite figure out what advantage a player is gaining by having their fingernail touch the stone about 1/8 of an inch after they've let go of the handle, but that, I believe, is the rule. So we'll turn to the Court of Collins, and I will just ask you, is Canada cheating at the sport they invented?
I guess the only advantage you could even get is maybe you're giving a little extra spin. So, I don't know, but if you watch those videos with them arguing, I've never heard Canadians swear so much. So they're either really defensive because they know they're cheating, or they are really defensive because they are right. So I don't know which one it is. It's really hard to tell with Canadians.
It'd be like the Americans cheating at basketball. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess we already do that in some other ways. Have you ever curled? You and your cousins strike me as the type that would have a great night curling.
One time there was we were at a rink and there was curling, and I floated I don't know what it's called, the rock thing with the handle. I think that's the correct term
stone,
for it.
I think it's the stone, yeah.
Yeah. So I've messed around with it before, but it's a lot like some other games people play, but they're just not Olympic sports. So I don't know how you realize you're really good at that. Maybe you get really good at paper football, and then you're like, let's try something bigger and heavier, see if I can keep that on the edge, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, I can move things at a good speed and get them to kind of stop when I want them to.
Paper football was a great training ground for future curling athletes. Are they athletes? They're curlers, but are they athletes?
That one's a little bit different because it's you are competing against another team and you do have to play defense, and there is a way to actually tally up a normal score. So I guess in some ways you call it a sport by definition.
It's a sport, but are they athletes?
Guys that play darts, are they athletes? Like they're so good at a thing that is so hard to be really good at. I don't know. They're better than me at everything.
Fair. Okay, so we're recording just a couple hours after the U.S. men's hockey team won in overtime. I played that soundbite at the very beginning of the show. The women play tomorrow against Canada for gold, which really was the inevitable matchup. Are you one who will change your schedule for the day to watch the gold medal game between the U.S. women and the Canadian women?
I probably won't. I'll definitely catch highlights, and I'm definitely rooting for the U.S. women's team. As far as the men go, our boy Larkin got on the map today with a goal, which was huge. And for Hughes to score the game winner, and then afterwards he just talks about how his mentor is Dylan Larkin and stuff. And it's cool to know that there's Red Wings out there, and Lucas Raymond is just dominating that thing. Yes. So I am a little bit more invested in the men's because I'm watching, my Red Wings play. Mo Sider leading everyone in ice time in the entire Olympics. So I'm invested in that. Again, I hope U.S. wins gold and everything, including the women's hockey team's been pretty dominant. So,
do you want your Red Wing players leading in ice time, knowing they have to come back and close out a regular season where if they close out strong, they're not only in the playoffs, but they're in a pretty good spot? Or do you want them to empty the tank while they're in Italy and hope they can refill it?
That's always a difficult question, especially because the last few years we've been in playoff contention, and the last month or so of the year we just fall off the map and fall out of the playoffs. So it's like right now we're sitting, I think, second or third in the East. Like we're playing well, all that. But I mean, these guys are young enough and they're hungry enough, and I think something like the Olympics can actually charge you to get excited for what's to come. So we'll see. I just want everyone to stay healthy. Get back, boys, and let's get a run here with the Pistons and Michigan basketball. Let's go.
When I saw Crosby get dinged up today, and I don't know the extent of it, but he was out for the rest of the game for Canada during their game. I was like, oh, what if that were to happen to our boys? That would all of a sudden the level of excitement over the gold medal pursuit changes a little bit.
What was their power play unit? I think it was McKinnon, Crosby, and McDavid.
It was just ridiculous.
That's not fair.
But they still had to go to overtime to win the game. All right, let's go into our holy discontent.
It's time to blow off some steam. Get it off your chest. Rant about what's most bothering you.
I got a lot of problems with you people. Now you're going to hear about it.
It's time for Holy Discontent.
I'll let you go first, D. Go right ahead.
Mine's going to be quick because I'm going to touch on it a little bit with my that guy. But and it's been a week or so, so congratulations, Jeremy Fears of the Michigan State Spartans. I meant to do this a couple weeks ago. 3 straight games with tripping incidents, several other clear non-punches to people's faces and groins. So, I mean, get your boy in check, Tom, because he's been frustrating. But again, like I said, it's been about a week without an incident, so maybe he's fixed all that.
My holy discontent is the head basketball coach from UCLA. His name is Mick Cronin. They played in East Lansing last evening or the night before. I don't know. It was last night. Everything's a blur for me this week. They got blown out by the Spartans, and in the process of getting blown out, one of Cronin's players, who was a Michigan State student, who desperately wanted to be on that team, in fact, even asked if he could just be a manager and walk on the team, and he was not given that opportunity, so he transferred to UCLA. So now here he is back in, probably an arena that brought some painful memories, because you can't be rejected on many more levels than, no, we don't even want you here as a manager. So he's back, and his team's getting pounded. They're getting beaten by Michigan State by 25 points. There's a breakaway for the Spartans. This player comes in from behind and really, honestly, comes very close to blocking the dunk. Did not tackle the Spartan. I honestly I've seen it a bunch of times, don't think it was a flagrant foul, but whatever. It was called for the lesser of the flagrant foul levels, which meant Michigan State would get 2 free throws and then the basketball. But it didn't merit an ejection in the eyes of the esteemed Big Ten officials. So Mick Cronin comes out on the court, grabs his player, and ejects him himself. Throws him off the court, says, get to the locker room, you're out of this game. So now this kid, who was already, I think, wrestling through all the emotions of being back here and his team getting thrashed and all, has to walk the gauntlet back through the MSU students and get pummeled again with all of the taunting stuff and all those things. And so Cronin, who has a history of making himself the story, after the game is asked by a reporter from, I think, MLive, what he thought about the MSU student section and their cheering. And this, I still can't believe how this went. Here you go.
I could give a rat's about the other team's student section.
I just meant the overall, the way that you
I would like to give you a kudos for the worst question I've ever been asked.
All right, I'll take it.
Did you like
You should take it.
the preparation of the...
Do you really think I care about the other
No,
team
I don't.
student
I don't
section?
think you care about the other.
Are you
team.
raising your voice at me?
No, I'm just.
Yeah, you are.
talking.
Yeah, you are. Come on, dude.
Not raising.
Come on. Yes, you are. Everybody's standing here listening to you. Everybody. This is on camera. They can hear you. I answered the question.
So here's the coach being asked a simple question. You know, he says, I don't give a rat's backside about the opposing student section. And then he stops, circles back to the same reporter, says, I'd like to give you an award for the worst question ever asked. Reporter says, I'll take it. And the coach comes back to him again. And then he says, are you raising your voice? The reporter is as calm as could be. And this coach, who has completely lost his marbles, is clearly, first of all, UCLA is a terrible basketball team. UCLA is, I don't know why they haven't done it yet, probably because they don't want to pay him off, but he's clearly trying to get fired, and he's doing so at the expense of his own players and his own reputation, and it's not only pathetic, it's not only demeaning to his players. David, I don't know why any of his players still go back to practice with this guy. I don't understand that part of it, because he clearly will hang them out to dry in the case of last night in front of 20,000 people and make the poor kid walk the walk of shame back to the locker room when he didn't even deserve it.
Yeah, Mick Cronin's kind of got a history of just behavior like this. There was another coach who just got fired. I can't remember where he was coaching, but in his post-game presser after they lost the game, he literally just said, these players don't deserve to wear this uniform. They're going to be at practice at 6 a.m. They're an embarrassment, all this stuff. And he gets canned with cause, they say, and now they're going to court over that. Some of these coaches just can't handle getting in front. I know it's an intensity that I don't understand. I've never been a coach on a sideline. But man, there's times when you got to stand in front of that mic and just eat it. Hey, we got to do a better job as coaches. We're going to get back to the drawing board. Let's move on. It's just not that difficult to snap at a reporter for just trying to ask a question, because asking about a student section, how difficult it was to play, et cetera, like that's a normal question to ask.
Yes. When they asked Dusty May the same question a couple weeks ago, he said, I was just going to take all the smoke and I was just going to sit there and soak it all in.
Sat there in front of the student section, arms like just didn't care. Give it whatever.
He thanked them.
He went and won the game.
He thanked them for contributing to the atmosphere.
Unbelievable.
That's just awesome. All right, here we go. That guy.
Right now, this minute, today, this week, I am the man!
All right, David, lead us off for that guy.
Yeah, and this goes perfectly into everything we were just talking about, how coaches respond to situations in games and to what they had to face during a game. So this is Matt Painter from Purdue after the loss to Michigan last night.
These dudes ain't losing 4 games. We got 4 losses. They ain't losing 4 games. So that's just that. That's reality. When you've been in a league for over 25 years, that's reality. When you face up to people like that, that's why they're ranked the way they are. Because like you can be preseason #1 in the country, that means nothing. But when you're in the middle of February and you're #1 in the country, it means a whole lot because you earned that one.
Yeah, and the reason I love this is just his team got beat. He realized he's going up against a better team, and he walks away just doing nothing but giving praise and credit to the team that they beat and not blaming it on anyone else and not trying to make it about anything else. There are other coaches that Michigan has played recently who, after games, when called out because there's certain players on their team that are doing inappropriate things that could put somebody's literal health in danger, like they come out and they blame everybody else. Oh, well, you think they did this? Well, we did this. And I just love a coach who can stand up there and say, hey, we're a good team, but that team is better, and they beat us tonight. Yeah. And I respect his opinion. I also love him saying, you can be ranked #1 at the beginning of the season, doesn't mean a thing. It's about what you earn on the basketball court. So I appreciated that about Matt Painter. More coaches like him, please.
And we saw an actual handshake at the end of that game where Painter and Dusty May stopped and actually spoke for a brief moment. And it wasn't just the blow by because I have so much bile in my heart for you that I can't stomach the idea of stopping to shake your hand. That guy is connected to something that I have spoken out against frequently, that is live golf. But over the weekend in Australia, one of probably the least celebrated but coolest stories in several years in sports in general took place when Anthony Kim came back from nowhere to win the LIV tournament in Australia. The basics, the scoreboard basics are that on Sunday he was 5 shots behind John Rahm, very good player, won a Masters. He was several shots behind Bryson DeChambeau. By the time it was all over, he had overtaken both of them and won this tournament in front of like 100 and something thousand people. In Australia, they love their LIV golf. Anthony Kim on the 2008 U.S. Ryder Cup team was widely regarded as one of the MVPs. And then he disappeared. I mean, disappeared off the grid. Did not touch a club for 8 years. Had an injury, went into addiction big time. He was using everything you've heard of. And most people expected to hear that he had died at some point. A couple of years ago, he meets this very special lady. He's introduced to the concept of faith. I don't pretend to know the extent of that, but he does talk about it being a part of his turnaround. And he has a little girl named Bella, little daughter. And he has reconfigured all of his life to be a great dad and husband. And he picked up golf again. Last year, he wasn't very good at golf. He was given kind of an exemption into LIV because they wanted a name to hopefully draw some eyeballs. And he played so poorly, he got booted off of the LIV Tour. But in the offseason, they had a qualifying school for, I think, 2 spots. And there were 60 players in this qualifying tournament, and 2 or 3 spots, and he grabbed one of the spots. So that's what gets him into this Australian tournament. And he really shocks the golf world. I mean, there are people on the PGA Tour who were just stunned by all of it. It was awesome theater. And afterwards, this is what he had to say about that moment and moments ahead.
Well, I know the mainstream media is not going to pick it up, but for the people that do hear about it, I want to be a good example. I would say that I wasn't the best person, the best partner, the best, whatever you want to call it, best son I could be when I was younger. But who I am today is a completely different person. With God, my family, my sobriety being the key things to my life, I can go as far as I want.
Yeah, it was just cool. I found myself rooting for him, and I don't ever watch LIV tournaments, but it was gripping drama for anybody who loves a good story. All right, let's wrap things up. For the first time in Church Pew history, David Collins has our 3-minute message.
Homer, I'd like you to remember Matthew 7:26. The foolish man who built his house on sand.
And you remember Matthew 21:17.
And he left them and went out of the city into Bethany, and he lodged there?
Yeah. Think about it.
So this week's message, and I think it's a perfect tie-in to what's going on in the world with the Olympics, what's going on in the world of politics. There's a lot of things, a lot of directions you could go with this. But this is a guy running for Congress in Texas, named James Tallarico. He is a Democrat, but he is his dad was a Baptist pastor. He's a firm believer in Jesus Christ. And he was on Stephen Colbert's show the other day, and he had an interesting message, so I'll let you play that now.
Well, for 50 years, the religious right, a political movement, that is the perfect description for it, they convinced a lot of our fellow Christians that the most important issues were abortion and gay marriage. 2 issues that aren't mentioned in the Bible, 2 issues that Jesus never talked about. Jesus in Matthew 25 tells us exactly how you and I and every one of our fellow believers, how we're going to be judged and how we're going to be saved. By feeding the hungry, by healing the sick, by welcoming the stranger. Nothing about going to church, nothing about voting Republican. It was all about how you treat other people. Don't. I've said before, don't tell me what you believe. Show me how you treat other people, and I'll tell you what you believe. And I think in our faith, we've got to get back to those fundamentals. My granddad was a Baptist preacher in South Texas. And when I was little, he told me that Christianity is a simple religion. Not an easy religion, he would always clarify, but a simple religion because Jesus gave us 2 commandments, love God and love neighbor. And there was no exception to that second commandment. Love thy neighbor regardless of race or gender or sexual orientation or immigration status or religious affiliation.
Yeah, and there's so much in there, and I could probably talk for about 45 minutes on this, but I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus boiled the 10 commandments down to 2 commandments and basically said how you treat other people and how you love God are the most important things. And I don't want us to lose sight about that, especially with the Olympics going on. You're seeing talented people from different faiths, different regions of the world. You know, just it's a hodgepodge of what's beautiful about diversity in the world. And there are a lot of people, politics is high strung, and I'm not going to get into all that, but there's a lot going on. And I think the most important thing is it's those specific words that he said. Show me how you treat other people, and I'll tell you what you believe. Be the kind of person with your actions, with how you treat people on a day-to-day basis, whether it's on an internet message board, whether it's your actual neighbor, whether it's the person you're getting coffee from. It does not matter. How you treat people says what you believe. So look around the world today, look at what's going on, and remember that you can't affect everything, and you can't change everything, and you can't be speaking into everything, and you only have a certain amount of bandwidth. But with what you do on a day-to-day basis, treat other people the way you would want to be treated, because how you treat people says exactly what you believe.
That's so good. Sunday, our pastor preached with a message about this very thing, about being a peacemaker. And he quoted Thomas Merton. Here's the quote. You're going to love this. Do not think you can show your love for Christ by hating those who seem to be his enemies on earth. Suppose they really do hate him. Nevertheless, he loves them, and you cannot be united with him unless you love them too. Man, I was like, I mean, I had to read that a couple times. I actually sent it to a friend of mine who was a strong believer, and he said, I'm glad that works for you. It doesn't work for me. And I was like, wait a minute, what am I? So, David, your message is very timely. And now you've entered yourself into the frequent 3-minute message delivery pool. So congratulations. That was great.
When I come across something that good, I just couldn't not say it. And here's the thing, I'll just throw in one more thing. It's not just hating somebody else that's different than you. Think also about just the way you come off to other people. Do you wind up being more divisive in how you speak? Is saying that extra comment, is that going to bring more people together? Is that going to help somebody understand that they're loved and cared for? Or is it just driving a wedge in relationships? Because that's one of the sad realities of what's happened in the world is a lot of relationships have been lost over disagreements on things that if you just cared about other people, you'd find a way to discuss things without hatred.
Yeah, that's great. That's really well said. Thanks for doing that. Really appreciate it. And thank you to Leah Neset and Artem Markelov for joining us and talking about their journey. Wasn't that fun? Did you ever think you were going to have that much fun talking about figure skating?
No, that was great. I had so many more questions. I wanted to get into all the technical stuff, but I'm glad, we got to know more about them. I can't wait to watch their story going forward.
And now we got to follow them, and hope all of you will do that. And we hope you'll connect with us on Facebook and X, and check out churchpewsports.com. We'll look forward to connecting with you again next time on Church Pew Sports.